So, M Aleph. Lavcha Biso Loso. Mi Yitem Bayon Neged Einov Es HaDvarim Asher Dibarnu. The recipient of this letter should have in front of him the words which he spoke. Ki hu ikar, ki zeu ikar chochmas adam lios neged Einov Achari So. The person's always supposed to think about his end. Obviously, the older we get, the more likely we are to think about this. Ki ze os shekvar shav sichlo lios harer beveso. You start thinking about your end, that shows that your intellect is mastering your life. Because it requires intellect in order to bring those things which we hope are distant into the present and act accordingly. We also see that the future should be in the present. It's not possible unless you were already delved into wisdom. To bring out from theory into practice, the characteristic of your thinking soul, your intellectual soul. When it understands the pleasure of knowledge and wisdom. And to recognize, to distinguish and recognize the difference between that which is transient and that which is permanent, or real. And distinguish between limited pleasure of this world, which is the next world. And the difference between pleasure which is mostly mixed in with anguish, to a clear and lucid pleasure, without any mixture of sadness. It's all enjoyable without any interruption. If you're able to make your intellect supreme, which is something which is not easy to do, but evidently the recipient of this letter was starting to do this, you can negate the pleasure which you get from animalistic desires. And the gushing will to develop bad traits. And then the power of the mind will become fortified to accomplish its characteristics. The karev asid kovek, to bring, which is again, like Chazal say, somebody who sees the future and brings it into the present. So the and you'll be able then to place your eye, opposite your eyes, the power of remorse, which eventually you will feel. When the difference between that which is transient and that which is permanent becomes clear. Especially because when a person reaches that Hashem advanced age, then the imaginary pleasures no longer exist. And the anguish from them, on the other hand, one indulged early in life to excess, is very, very long and very powerful. Who can tolerate it? This is true chochma. I don't understand why it doesn't mean down. Okay, but he says that is true chochma. It's recognition of reality. In other words, eternity is reality. So you sort of chochma. It's the base of chochma. These analyze these matters. Came a ma'ata kamus the rabbi chus. I haven't said very much, but there's a lot of depth there, a lot of quality. Zekras Hashem Yidor Bris, and that's the bris of Parshas Nitzavim. Love l'cha b'bris Hashem u'v'oloso Hashem l'kecha v'oloso, to bring you to the covenant of Hashem and to his curse. Kasher Hashem l'kecha t'choresim cho hayom. Lo yitchem v'atchem anochi choresim b'sos. Now with you alone, says Moshe Ben Time, so am I making this bris. Those who are with us, those who are not with us. He named before Barry Tape. It's clear here. Ki kamosha anu mechuyavin kabel habris and mechuyavin kabel ha'olah. The two sides. It's not just hunky dory and lovey dovey and fluffy, which a bris could be, but there's also something powerful, severe, and weighty, which is the Allah. The Kabbalah. So, what does it mean to makabel the Allah? Obviously, it doesn't mean we want to accept the curse, but it means the Kabbalah. He idea of his bonus, but it's the knowledge and analysis thereof. Obviously, Kosh Baruch doesn't want to curses for no reason. But he gives us the curse in order to demonstrate to us the necessity of extending the covenant. It's a taiva to tell us that the alternative to the bris is Allah. In other words, the bris is the Torah. To the point that somebody who violates the Torah, Mukhrach Chas v'Shalom Lalos, he's got to undergo the curses. Mizeh Yizbonu Banu B'Yischaz Torah. And with this, Kosh Baruch's children will understand to fortify themselves in keeping Torah. Zoich Amanos Ha Ba'ala. So that's, I mean, we go through his Allah, we understand it's that it makes the other choice more imperative. So if you don't understand your end, that means you understand the potential curse. You haven't gone through it like you went through the bris. Such a person blesses himself in his heart. Shalom Yeli, I have peace. It's interesting, Hashem doesn't bless such a person. He deceives himself into thinking he's blessed. He's Barech B'Vavo. Omar Shalom Yeli. Perish Rambanza, Perish Shalom Yeli, Kino Makabel Balos. I'm cool. I'm not accepting those curses. But the Yashan of Hashem Kino Soba Yishu, then he gets the wrath of Hashem. Rabbi is my name, Masha Nemar Shab. Look at the language. V'Rav Tzabo Kolak Suva. But Sefer Hazeh. V'Rav Tzabo. Rav Tzabo literally means the crouch. Kara Rabat Kari. The curse has found a lair in which to abide by him. The way to get the curse out is by embittering the dullness of his heart. And he doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to get to work on that. For himself, he just wants to do himself. Shalom Yeli. That's going to be peaceful for you. So you should be able to sin with no guilt.
This is the person who says about himself, I'm really a good person. I'm a good person.
Right. I'm good. And
he doesn't define, but they don't define good properly.
Right. And it defines good as not feeling guilty.
Right.
So it's as if he is refusing the Torah of Hashem, which would heal his malady. He is moving from himself the yoke of the kingdom of Hashem. So Hashem's going to get angry, and all the Allah will be crouching by him. It's going to be kind of like his companion. If you somebody who's accustomed to careful to detailed analysis, maybe understands if somebody's not involved in preparing his understanding of Otzem Charotas Achriso, of the terrible remorse of his end, Kambur Lamala, Shalom Yeli, says, I'm not going to have any regrets. I'll be okay. I'm fine.
It's like someone who gets bit by a tick. It's a small bite, but the tick is holding on still. And it's a little thing. And eventually the tick gets fatter and fatter and fatter, and he gets sicker and sicker and sicker.
Yes.
So it's like a little nest. It's like it's living in a nice, warm, damp place.
Yes.
but he's not paying any attention.
Okay, good marshal. So that's so the Allah lives in that place of Shalom Eli. Mashadibarno obes and the roast with Ramban Zal Bezeh. I have more to say, but simple is right. I'm not die bezeh shekel savnu. This is enough. Kiomer Shalom Eli Perush Sheno Meshib Elibo Achari So Kira Umaru. He doesn't pay attention to his end, which is going to be bad and bitter. It's going to be bad because he didn't do good. It's going to be bitter because he regrets not having done good. If he wants to sin with expansive heart, without any cheshbon, right? Without any regard for what's possibly going to happen in the future. He's going to go from bad thing to bad thing, and even go out to bad things which he didn't initially anticipate. In order to satisfy with the being satiated his thirst, because he keeps on, which obviously means he's more and more thirsty and has to got more and more bad things to satisfy him. Regardless, so to the point is greater, sin is greater than he can bear. For Rav Tzabo, and it's all this Allah is going to be crouching within him. Rachmana litzlan. And his barbarian type she's bonus last. So this tells us the great necessity of analysis to be intelligent and figure out how to do good. Vayomar wrote that kulos v'lo b'chumros. The person says, a person wants to have kulos v'lo b'chumros. You shouldn't say, Ani eino omer shalom yeh. It's not that I'm saying it's going to be peaceful. It's just that I'm too lazy to actually be involved with it. In other words, I'm not confident, but right now I'm okay just being what I am. I don't have to be more, so to speak, machmir. Zel badusa question. This is this is wrong. This is irrational, as we should explain. Going through the bris and the curse. Gam lasher and nenupos. Those people are not here today. Nekar kvarbiarnu. We already explained. Chazal say that death is tov mode because death makes you appreciate life, and then makes you realize that you have to prepare for it. And this is also the Allah here same purpose. So you said before, to cause you to submit. Person wasn't there at the time when the Levium answered. They said the koram, the brachos and the klolos at the time of Har Grizim and Har Evo. Also, was there Hashem Moshe said the rebukes? Can he be as aroused as the people were then? They heard from Moshe Rabbeinu mouth to mouth. They call it also for Levium with all of Amisah by Har Grizim and Har Evo. What does it mean that they're going to pass through the olos if they're not going to be part and parcel of those great assemblies? The preparations to become wise and understand how the end emerges from the beginning. That's going to do the covenant, no matter what time and what place you are. So somebody doesn't accept the healing of Hashem. Not possible to have your Torah. Your healing. So and somebody says that the Asher Nenupoi Manayo means equally for a person who's here and experiences the great moments, and the person's not here. Also, he has to bring himself to understand internally what is the Chochma and what's not Chochma. what is going to help in the end, what's not going to help in the end. I think that's what it means. And that's he said the next line. The person has to be smart and understand this. Take the healing of Kodesh Baruch Hu, Chaim Batov. To look at the end. The shaver up alone, that's going to heal him. Amen. Kenny Rotzon. Shenizkel Ichnos and Brisa Shem Lasol Lifro Seinu. The Kaim Atork Yotzoni is Baruch Vatov Lona Kol Yom. Okay, that's one point. So in other words, a person has to, the I don't know if you remember from Chofetz Chaim with Rabbi Ginsburg used to tell the story about, we used to laugh at it, how the Rabbi Sol Salanter met the Alter of Kelm before his Alter of Kelm met Rabbi Sol Salanter on the train, and he was complaining to him because his father-in-law died and he had to take over the family business. And he said, oh, how do you live? And Rabbi Sol Salanter said, you're right, but also, how do you die? And that Rabbi Yosef was supposed to have gotten so shook up by this, they immediately left the business and went and became a hermit in the forest for several years until he came out and started the Bardic yeshivas. So, and to remember the acharis, especially when life is difficult, is not so easy. So by Gas Budov. He heard the open table, the same was open to Chochmo, and he ripped his clothing when he heard it. Because your heart was soft and you submitted yourself before me. Laman said, Dover God the most. And this is one very great thing. It seems to us, Ki Agaiva, Hurak Neged Adam Lo Neged Hashem. Okay, I'm not sure why you would think this, but I guess some people think that arrogance is only relative to another person, not relative to Hashem. And here it says clearly that somebody doesn't submit himself to God. He's going to obviously Yoshio's praise for being nichna, that people are not nichna. And they are people who are Bali Gaiva, busy Hashem. How, what does it mean to be a Bali Gaiva relative to Hashem? So we see this is Bali Gaiva, somebody who's not aroused and frightened. When he reads the Torah, in the Torah, the punishments, that's a sign he's not submitted. And it's like he's proud, arrogant, relative to Hashem. Somebody hard heart will fall in evil. What does it mean to harden your heart? So here it says, Yan Rachlav tells us, I know what a hard heart is. Says, I know what a soft heart is. It says here by Yoshio Rachlav Avcha. Yan Rachlav Avcha Vativkel Ifanai Begomer. I don't see that what it says here. It says Vatikonami Panai. Maybe it's a different pasuk which says that. Anyway, because it may Arakia Pachad the fear and the shock in the heart, Achikora Begadav, to when he ripped his clothes. Oh, Pacha, I guess it isn't a pasuk. He cried, Mipnei Pachad. Zel Rachalebov. That's soft. Once we know the opposite, we can know the other side as well. So if we know a Rachalebov is, we can know a Koshalebov. Okay, Misha Enon Nifalva Mum, somebody who's not frightened and shocked. You mostly that his heart melts like wax because of the fear of the punishments. But he's a hipuch mirach, it's the opposite of soft, and he's hard. Can he mas adam? So if you want to be soft-hearted, you have to have and not hard-hearted. You have your heart has to melt. Your heart to trouble in you. Lest you might be nafal beger makshali bo yipo bara. B'tzon lamar, Rahman Yitzhak. Hardness comes automatically. Softness requires a special effort. Who can tolerate this? These three limudim, one is to be a rach levav, what it means to someone's heart, and the other is not be about gaiva, relative to Hashem, And the other thing is that you should prepare to understand your end. They can turn a person from over from pole to pole. Lachshov, to think about his end. Be flee like a deer from a trap. And to no, I guess these are three things he's referring to. To think about your end and to flee from the trap of which the Allah represents of Shalom Yali, and Lisaneg B'Deshen Nafsho, and to think about eternal oneg. I guess those are three things. I'm not sure those are three things. Thinking about these things should make a person about tshuva. Yosem buchrach mitchila l'isragel yos mayen. But the preface to all that, the precondition, is to analyze, to think things over deeply. It's obvious. Niyakari nibahel midvar me'ela. We should be frightened by these words. And write to me immediately that you're going to carefully consider them. As is your custom to always think and to put in your heart with big and great analysis the matters that you hear. Baruch Hashem ki zui atzlacha, that's your success. So that basically, again, to sum up, the main thing here is a person always has to be ma'ayin, not shove things out of his mind. And he has to make sure that he thinks about the end. And that gives him a sense of what's real oneg, what's not real oneg, what's considered to be permanent and not temporary, and what he has to cultivate and what he has to not cultivate, the things, the fleeting pleasures of this world. And this is the bris is linked to the Allah, because you have to know the negative in order to appreciate the positive. And a person who doesn't try and eliminate the negative, that Allah is always crouching in wait in order to take him over. And the person can't say, okay, I don't have to be active. I can just be passive. I don't have to be concerned to prepare myself. No, he says that a person has to always prepare himself. He has to always work on himself. And if you're not working on yourself, to be soft-hearted, that means you're hard-hearted. So you need to make yourself rach levav in order not to be kosher lev.
Right.
Okay, very good.
Very good. Very good.
All
excellent.
Right, so next week.
I only want to. What's that?
Next week's thing is Rosh Hashanah, so 2 weeks from now.
Yes, 2 weeks. Okay, very good.
All right.
I thought of only one thing.
Yeah.
We always used to learn in the Mesilas Yesharim that there's in the Precious, I believe he talks about three types of people. Those who are Zrizim, and those who are in the middle, and those who are on the other side. And we always said that the one in the middle is the most dangerous, because he says, Shalom Ali, I'm okay. I'm a good person. Okay, I won't have a box seat in Gan Eden, but I'll still be in the mezzanine. I'll be there. That we always said is the guy we call him the man who has the shita. He has it all worked out already. He knows what's going. He figured it all out, and he's the most dangerous one.
Be satisfied with mediocrity is extremely dangerous.
Right, that's dangerous. Right, very good.
All right, Alex.
Okay, Amen. B'chein Lamar. You two are good to bench the yard.